welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name's Mike Williams, I'm joined by Gareth Evans.
Yo.
And Jake Kulkowski.
Hi.
We're going to be talking about zombies later on and answering your questions, of course. And we're going to be talking about Jump, the new indie streaming service, which is like Netflix for games, is what they're calling it. So we'll talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about Yonder, which is a new game which is not like Breath of the Wild.
No,
we'll get onto that in a minute.
It's certainly not. So I've been playing Yonder. If you're a patron, the game was out yesterday, like the 18th of July, and it's made by Prideful Sloth. I don't know why not proud. Prideful, I think is how you say it if you're not English. And it's an indie game that, yeah, people have been saying it's like Breath of the Wild. It's kind of a cutesy looking.
Because it looks like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's got these pastel colours. It looks like a Fisher Price toy box, you know, that
like
sort of palette.
Everything's made out of plasticine to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a real kid's toy box vibe from it. The palette kind of, you know, even almost a little bit like ukulele. Although that's where the similarities end, really. The game plays a lot more like a community simulator than anything else. Now, a community simulator, you might think, what the hell you mean? Like Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I've put about 20 hours into this game, and I was lucky enough to get it a little bit early to play. And that's the number one comparison to draw there, Animal Crossing. If you've played Animal Crossing, you'll know exactly what I mean. There's kind of shallowy fetch quests, you know, management of...
Busy work, almost.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, you know, like be a member of the community, get stuck in. It's
like Stardew Valley in a way.
A little bit like Stardew Valley, yeah. The only problem is, and now this is what I was hoping for, really, a bit more to Stardew Valley. You've got this farm in Stardew Valley, and it's really customizable. You can plant crops, you can, you know, kill guinea pigs or whatever. That's a little joke for the ones that watch that guinea pig video. But really, you're a farmer, essentially, in Stardew Valley. You also can then use your produce to make yourself a member of the community. Yeah. This has got a farm aspect, quite shallow, though. So don't expect anything like Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley.
A farming simulator, anything like that.
Well, technically on paper it is, because you can have a farm, you can lure animals from the grasslands to your farm, and then 3 days later you'll get milk from them if they're cows and stuff.
Is there any questing in it? Is there any like combat questing jumping into?
There's no combat in the game. The game is completely combat free, completely confrontation free actually, and it kind of takes away more than you'd think. So at first I thought, well, okay, a game without any combat, I'm alright with that. Animal Crossing is another game like that. But with this, there's no risk of failure.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of makes the reward seem a little less sweet, you know? You don't ever really have anything to lose, so therefore everything to gain is just in this big pile of stuff you've got. And what do you do with it?
You can't have the ups without the downs, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And when it's just one way, it kind of just seems, I don't know, flat. It's unusual. There's a lot of questing, a lot of fetch quests. Right. It's fetch quest the game.
You were super excited for it, weren't you?
I was really excited about it, and my expectations were managed properly. I was excited, but at the same time, I wasn't believing these people saying it's going to be like Zelda meets Stardew Valley. Now, I mean, that would be, oh wow. Yeah. Normally that would hype me, but I know not to believe that stuff. And I'm so glad that I tempered my expectations. I've had a lot of fun in the game. Like I say, I spent 20 hours in the past 3 or 4 days. That's a lot of time on this game.
It's got a nice price. It's quite affordable. It was like, it's on sale, pre-sale, you know, price on the PlayStation. At least I noticed it was on a discount and stuff already, and it was like less than 15 quid.
Right.
Yeah, £15. So already, if I spent £1 for every hour I played, I would have already got my money's worth, right? I mean, the size of the game, the file size is about 4 gig.
Okay.
The length of the game, there's a main quest that you can follow. Basically, you're in this kingdom, and it's been taken over by like Merc, this like shadow, and it's kind of corrupting the world, like most RPGs that you've probably played. There's like, you know, corruption that's creeping in, and you're to stop that. And the main quest is about 5 hours, 6 hours long. When you've done it, you're free to explore. And like I said, there's different biomes. You know, you've got like a grassland, a snowy land, a tropical place. The map's fairly big. Maybe takes about 20 minutes to walk from south to north.
Okay.
And there's different towns. And these towns, they have different types of trade. There's a tanner, there's a carpenter, a brewer, a fisherman. And you can join guilds. You could, you know, if you want to be a carpenter, you can do that. So there's a lot of things, like I'm saying, if you just want to feel like you're part of a community, but you don't want to leave your house and actually be part of a community, then I guess this is for you. If you just want to coexist with other NPCs you know, in the world, it's for you. You can feel part of that, and
it's almost social sim in that sense, then, isn't it? If it's just you get the buzz of helping people out and doing jobs for people and giving things to people that need it and that kind of stuff is kind of, I don't know, it's just simulating a certain aspect of real life, like a lot of games do. But
yeah, exactly.
Doing it in a very nice, bright.
I don't know.
There's no online though.
There's no. Well, there's quite an interesting feature with online actually. You know, like games like Dark Souls, you can't. Well, you can actually interact with other players on Dark Souls, but you can leave like things on the floor for players to see.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't know if you're aware of, like, in real life, there's a thing called geocaching where you leave boxes of stuff in real life and then people go and find them. Well, in this, you can drop random little chests anywhere in the world with items in it, and other people find them, and then they'll get a reward. So it's kind of like a little gift box that you can leave for people. So you might want to like climb up a really tall mountain and hide a geocache in a corner, and then, because that's what happened to me, I climbed this mountain, I could see a geocache. Another player has left one there for me, so I picked it up and I got some, I don't know, dye for my clothes.
You could have some fun with that. I mean, is there any way that you could actually leave not a map but a clue or something, or if you could just leave somewhere really public and be like, if you go to the top of this mountain, there'll be something awesome up there?
Well, that's the thing. You can't leave any like text or any indication, just a gift. So maybe like, you know, the starting area, the first quest you do, you've got to get like, you know, let's say like 5 sticks or something. Maybe you could leave a gift. The stick says save the player some time, but that's kind of defeating the purpose of the game. The game is essentially, hopefully, you find joy out of doing the chores of life.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. There is no combat in it, and I'm thinking to myself, what would be the hook for me? There's nothing. What is it that keeps you coming back and wants you to progress in it? It's like it's not like an RPG game, is it? So what are you advancing? What are you gaining? What are you doing?
You're right. This is a thing. This is why I call it like a community sim. I don't know if that's like a real term, but you can gather what I'm saying with that. Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley to an extent, and like Truck Simulator. Like you're just kind of just doing chores. I don't know what it is that is so appealing, but it's certainly got its audience.
Okay, I guess it's simple. I guess it's therapeutic because it's simple to do. It's easy to perform. It's not challenging. It's not taxing. It's like Sudoku or something. You know. It's just
exactly.
Something to pass the time. That's
therapeutic is a good way of saying it. You know, guys. I think on Horizon Zero Dawn, there was a time just before I finished the main quest. And I just sat through the map and I just thought, I'm going to wipe this area, just collect all the flowers.
Yeah.
And for me, that is literally just mindlessly going, click on map, click marker, go to marker, get flower, open map. It's just, for some reason, after a while, I just want to do that for a little bit. This game is just that. The game. It's just... But I know that's kind of underselling it, because it's like the things that you don't like in an open world game and the things you do like in an open world game, a great story and great combat, taken away.
Yeah,
but it gives you kind of a different outlook at these quests.
Is there voice acting and story? You know, how's the storytelling done in it?
The storytelling's just done through text. The bottom, kind of like an old Zelda game.
Okay.
It reminds me, if you've played Zelda: The Wind Waker and you've gone to Dragon Roost Island and you've done side quests in Zelda, how you kind of don't ever really get anything amazing. You kind of just get, oh, here's like some new trousers or something.
Yeah.
It's like that mixed with Animal Crossing, and I implore anyone, find a better example of what this game is. It's not Animal Crossing and Zelda: The Wind Waker, because that is perfect, the perfect amalgamation of this game, and it's the only way you can go into this game with expectations without being disappointed. If you take my words, Animal Crossing, expect Animal Crossing, go into this game, you'll have a nice time. £15, I think the game is.
Yeah. Would you say it's aimed towards kids or like younger players who can actually read, obviously, or...
Yes, this is the huge thing. It looks like there's it's a family-friendly romp. It's like a universal thing. I actually spoke to the developers quite a few times, like, because the code that we were going to get sent was delayed, and she was keeping me in the loop. And we ended up talking about like the influences of the game, because I wanted to know, like, you know, how do you feel that your game's coming out, which is an indie game, and people are saying your game's like Breath of the Wild, that is which is one of the highest rated games of all time.
It's never going to live up to that hype, is it?
So, and I was asking her, and she was saying, you know, what to temper the expectations, and she kind of doesn't feel that comfortable that the game's been likened to that, because it's just art style alone. And then it ended up being about, you know, she'd be happy if it could just be a game for kids to play, or for fathers and mothers to play with their kids. And that, you know, like I've got a 5-year-old at home, and she likes playing. Well, she was watching me on Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, she likes the dinosaurs and stuff, and she likes the bright colours because they're kids. And so she's been playing it with me, and that is a kind of joy that maybe not everybody who's listening to this will have the opportunity to feel. It. Maybe you've got like a niece or a nephew, or brother and sister. They will enjoy this game. It's very, very first game-ish.
All right,
like I'm saying, there's no real risk. There's nothing to really fear. And if you're at that age where you can just about read what the words are quite simple, there's a lot of good visual cues to what you need to do. You can open up a compass, which kind of gives you like, it's great because it's not like a compass on like, again, Horizon Zero Dawn, where it's just giving you the directions constantly. You have to open the compass and then it'll show you a general direction.
Yeah.
So it's good for that. It would be really great for kids and adults that want to play a childish game. You know, sometimes you sink into that and you just want to switch your brain off and play a game where you don't have to think that much and just immerse yourself. This is a good game to immerse yourself. My only concern with the world, this is my main criticism, is the game has got a constant day and night cycle. And I think the day cycle, it's seasonal as well. And maybe it's just because when I started the game, I was in winter. The light was only on, like the light was only on, the sun was up, I meant, from 8 o'clock to like 5. So then 5 till 8 is darkness, and it's pitch black, this game. You've got a little lantern. So this beautiful world, and I spent about 70% of my 20 hours in darkness playing this game.
Right.
And it's kind of like, oh, it's annoying. And when when it's daytime, you're in a cave or something, you've got like 10 minutes of sunshine. And
I guess if they want to make it so that it changes the environment up, but they could maybe make the night a little bit more beautiful.
Trying to avoid
a very bright moon or something.
Bright moon. You know, you maybe see the reflection of the moon on the water or some fireflies. Yeah. And you do get the occasional things. You can see the light of nearby towns in the dark real well, and that's really nice. But yeah, a lot of the game is spent like that, and but yeah, like I'm saying, if you want to feel immersed in a world, I always remember the classic Peter Molyneux Fable 1 promise. Everyone knows the promise. You can plant an acorn and it'll turn into a tree by the end of the game, and that is the sign of an immersive world. And of course it never happened, and in Fable 2 it never happened, but in this game you can do that. You can plant an acorn and it'll grow into a tree. I've planted a couple of trees and they are now trees, so that the promise has been delivered. But yeah,
Peter Molyneux's just sitting there at home like Sean Murray, like, oh, my mind is blown, how did you do this, how did you manage to make an acorn become a tree?
I mean, to be honest, it's not even a feature that's really important these days. Most games these days you can just plant a tree.
Just in there as a fuck you to Molyneux.
They don't even mention that in the game, and that was it. So gaming's come a long way in 10 years, but at the same time, this one feels like it could be released on the GameCube. That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
The graphics, the style.
It's not that much of a burn though. GameCube is a great console.
It is. It reminds me, and the GameCube's one of the consoles I spent the most time playing, and even the size of the game could probably fit on a little mini disc. So if you want to transport yourself back to maybe a mid-era of nostalgia, and you want to play something like that, or, go and play Yonder. It's a good price. They deserve it. And here's an interesting fact. I'm not sure how public this is yet, but I'm alright to tell you. They're going to be supporting a game after release as well. Obviously, an indie game have got a small budget. They are planning on releasing some DLC and taking into consideration the feedback from this initial set of reviews and things, and then they're going to want to fix their game. Like what No Man's Sky did. They listened to feedback and then they've built the game from it. Yonder are planning on doing that as well.
So they didn't charge you 40 quid for it.
That's right, yeah, essentially. But that's why, if in case because DLC normally is kind of like, oh, they're already planning on how they're going to sell more, but they're coming from it sounds like a real place. And so £15, the game's what it is now, and you might be getting a lot more in the future. They might even add combat in, who knows. But that was my time with.
I mean, that wasn't a glowing review, but I still got to say it sounds really appealing to me, at least.
My problem is, you guys are going to know this, when I get excited about stuff, I am.
Everyone around you gets excited about stuff as well.
Yeah, and
you're a car salesman.
It can be dangerous, and hype will kill this game. And I am a big fan of this game. I spent a lot of time playing it, but I don't want to hype it up, and I don't want you to make you feel like it's going to be anything more than it is.
Yeah.
Because it can be dangerous, and I think just out of respect for indie devs in general, they can't promise the world, but then you see reviews when the people are saying it's going to be like Dark Cloud meets Zelda meets Stardew Valley, and I'm thinking, you're mentioning these games, and it's like,
you've got to keep your expectations realistic.
Exactly. So it's a real good game, and I know that I don't sound like I'm gushing about it like when I was talking about Shadow Tactics, because you're not going to have enough footage to see for yourself yet. But yeah, if you like these types of games, you'll know what I'm talking about, and if it's a must buy if you're an Animal Crossing fan, because there's not been an Animal Crossing game in a long time on a full screen with amazing graphics. That's the only thing I would say. Don't miss this game if you want to get immersed in a community.
Okay, so there you go, Yonder, the cloud Catcher Chronicles. And it's out now, isn't it? It came out today, was it?
It came out today at the time of recording,
Right.
yesterday if you're listening on Patreon, and last week if you're listening on YouTube.
And it's on PC and consoles, isn't it?
It's out on the PC, the Mac, the PS4,
It's on
and
Xbox.
the Xbox One, I think.
There we go. Okay, so let's talk about zombies then. From you know, one cutesy, colourful, bright thing to definitely not. I mean, zombie games are just a big thing. Like they've just been a phenomenon. They've just been like an absolute cult, pop culture, like just flooding over pop culture like a zombie horde, and they're just taken over everything. And it's kind of, you know, it's getting to the point now where it's running out of steam. Big style. I mean, the flagship zombie show, The Walking Dead, the viewership for that has plummeted. I mean, the people have just fallen off that, especially after some of the ways they decided to end certain seasons. I won't say any more than that if you haven't watched it. But
Plus it was shit, sorry.
and it was boring as
also
fuck,
that, yeah.
and it just so it's running out of steam. So that's the big zombie flagship zombie TV show. And in terms of video games, I mean, we're well beyond saturation point at this point, aren't we? There's just so many games
too
with
much
zombies in
zombies.
them, thanks to things like Steam Greenlight and early access and Kickstarter, and there's just so many of them. It's like zombie survival crafting is just such a phenomenon. There's so many games that have done
It's like game developers get together, like, oh, we're gonna start a studio. What we're gonna make? Zombie crafting survival.
So obviously, like we don't even need to say that bit. Zombie survival crafting. That's it's like taken for granted.
That's it.
Of course, where'd you go from there?
That's a given. Now what we're gonna put in our game?
Exactly. So okay. So with the death of the George A. Romero a few days ago, which was very sad. He's of course the guy behind The Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and
Zombies as we know it.
Countless other zombie movies. Exactly. Zombies as we know it. He died, it was on the 16th of July. And it just seems like an appropriate time, I guess, to talk about where his creation, you know, where it began in the, what was it, 70s, I guess?
1968.
Right. So where it began all those years ago, and where it is now, and is it still relevant? Is it still is it still enjoyable? As zombies, have they been done? He himself made enough zombie products to saturate an entire medium on his own. So, I mean, what is it about zombies that we love so much? Why did they become so popular?
I think it's a very human threat. It's not.
Yeah.
I think when they made Night of the Living Dead, the idea that the dead can come back is scary, but your loved ones that have gone are back and they want to kill you.
Yeah.
They're
not themselves,
and they're not who you recognise. I mean, there's a lot of fear from stuff like that. You know, traditionally in horror, things are like the creature feature was big before zombies. The monsters were monsters. This is a very human threat.
Yeah.
They've got the strength of a human. They are humans essentially.
Now, Call of Duty is the biggest video game franchise there is, and the newest one that's coming out has got zombies in it.
Zombies.
COD is going to be authentic, boots on the ground, real combat, you guys. It's going to be so authentic, so realistic. But it's got zombies in it. It's got Nazi zombies in it. They can't not do it because people still want it. People still want COD zombies. And the trailer leaked yesterday, well, the day before, and it looked very good. It looked like Dead Space.
You can only
scary.
Hypothesize as to what is so attractive about zombies in Call of Duty. Now, one thing that I thought that it might be is that, you know, with a zombie, you shoot it in the head and it's going down. It's not a bullet sponge.
Yeah.
It explodes. It's satisfying. It's a satisfying kill when you kill a zombie. Whereas I've heard criticisms of the most recent Call of Duty where the bullet sponges, like you can't, you know, you just sat behind cover trying to kill these guys and they're just coming at you. Whereas, you know, you don't get the problem with the zombie.
Yeah.
Well, one shot in the head and it's dead. So I think that's satisfying knowledge, knowing, you know, you shoot it once, it's going down.
How to kill them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's ingrained in you. You know, it's like, you know, wooden stake through the heart kills a vampire or whatever. It's like you shoot a zombie in the head, and then everyone knows instinctively to do that when you're playing zombie games and stuff. That's where you take them down. They're incredibly they're guilt free. They're already dead. They want to kill you,
true.
and they're not humans. So it's all right to slice them up with a
You're
samurai
just doing them
sword
a
in a game
favour.
like exactly.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to them. You can mow them down with lawnmowers in Dead Rising. You can stick, trip them up with gumball machines, and when they're on the floor, you can cut them up with a chainsaw or whatever. It's because they're zombies, because they're corpses, and they're evil corpses that want to kill you. You're not disrespecting them because they want to kill you. They want to eat your face.
Yeah, true. But when you think about Nazis in World War
Also,
II,
Nazis just doubled up.
yeah, exactly.
You've got no mercy.
You've got no problem issue with that at all.
Yeah.
have you?
I think the tagline for this Call of Duty Zombies, what was it? They're mean, they're vicious, they're fascist. Like, that's the tagline for
Really?
yeah, honestly, that's
Nailed
like...
it there, haven't you?
Oh, man.
Okay, so and that's kind of there's two reasons there for why are they in so many games. You know exactly what to do with them. You headshot them, and you don't have to feel bad about doing messed up shit to them with different kinds of weapons in a game like Dead Rising, which goes out of its way to give you all kinds of fun stuff to use against zombies, right? So with that in mind, the zombie is there as like a target that is easy to take down, but they've done a lot of different things with them. They've told all kinds of elaborate stories, emotional stories. They've gone places with zombies in them in video games that no other game has ever achieved. So I'm thinking about games like The Last of Us and The Walking Dead Season 1, which I'm not a huge fan of personally, but it's still widely regarded as a great bit of video game storytelling, and it's all about zombies. So just asking you guys then, what's your favourite implementation of zombies? What is your favourite zombie game? What's the best game that's used a zombie and done something creative with it and that you've enjoyed?
There's too many.
There's a lot, isn't there?
There is. I mean, I remember when I was a kid on the SNES, I played Zombies Ate My Neighbours. And it's fucking scary. That's the first game I can remember with zombies.
That sounds like 1960s as hell, that though.
That's
Zombies Ate My Neighbours.
It was actually a pretty scary game. They were kind of goofy looking, but it was pretty scary. Then, like 1996 Resident Evil. That's one of the classics. House of the Dead.
Of course.
Another big one for the arcade.
Arcade,
machines.
yeah, light
Classic.
guns type stuff.
I don't know though. Resident Evil 4, I don't think there's zombies. Plants vs Zombies is pretty good. Left 4 Dead's a popular.
So, did you say Resident Evil 4 is not zombies? I don't think it's zombies.
I don't.
Because this is another discussion point, right?
Yeah.
They act and behave, and you treat them like zombies, and you think of them as zombies, but they're not zombies because they're crazy villagers or they're
parasites.
Exactly, yeah. So it's the way that the zombie has been morphed. The Last of Us was very creative with it, where they actually used a real life fungus from the Amazon or whatever that affects ants and stuff.
Yeah.
But they just kind of had fun with that and applied it to humans.
Cordyceps, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So you've got like wild 28 Days Later kind of running at you zombies, but you've also got the fungus
Clickers,
growing out of their
yeah.
face, clickers, which are terrifying. And are they zombies or what are they? They're just monsters.
Well, I would consider The Last of Us a zombie game, kind of. I think
It's the same thing with Days Gone as well. They're not categorically zombies. They're like, what do they call them?
I don't know, they're like runners, aren't
Runners or
So
walkers.
this is the
or,
thing.
yeah.
This is the thing.
what zombies do?
They are definitely zombies, though, aren't they?
Yeah,
they have to be
exactly.
zombies.
Yeah.
They're all zombies.
They're basically like, it's a disease or a demonic possession or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're using dead humans as hosts.
Yeah.
To me, that categorizes as a zombie.
Yeah.
I think what's so amazing about zombie games when they're not about the zombies, like, what I mean is, they are such a good crutch. The Last of Us, an amazing story about people with zombies as a crutch. The Walking Dead, an amazing story about people. It's a story. About people with zombies as a crutch. Days Gone looks like it's focused more on the gritty survival of the man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My favorite zombie game would be like The Walking Dead Season 1, probably.
Okay.
But
because of the story there.
Because of the story.
Some would argue that it's not in fact a game at all, but the story is so good that some would argue that. I'm not saying
What are we talking about here? I zoned out there for a second.
What's the favourite zombie game?
Which
Walking Dead Season 1.
You're saying it's not a game?
All right, some would say
that.
Some
Instead of trashing on some of our favourite games, why not just tell us what your favourite zombie game is?
My favourite zombie game is possibly Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare.
Is that
because
classed as a game?
Well, okay.
Is that just DLC?
It's
you know what I mean?
All right. Okay.
If we're getting shirty,
I
earned that. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, then State of Decay. Because when State of Decay rolled out, that was like everything. That was pre-survival crafting zombies. That was pre, the flood of zombie titles, and that was the first time I felt a lot of freedom, and I had a little base, and there was people out there in this town that were just, you know, they'd shut themselves away in their own little bases, and I could go there, I could help them out, I could do whatever, I could bring them back to my own base. I had to build stuff up, I had to take risks, and I had to decide, okay, I've got a backpack, I've got a certain amount of stuff, I can take this wood, and I can take this, there's a gun there, I really need a gun, and you're weighing up all these options. It was so much freedom involved. It was such a fun game. I played it on the Xbox 360, if I remember rightly. It was such an amazingly fun game that had all the mechanics there of surviving against zombies, fighting zombies, having fun fighting zombies, but also having great stories where, you know, people would go ill, you'd send somebody out and they would die or they would get hurt and you have to go out and save them. All this was dynamic. And that was great fun, and that was the first time I'd ever experienced anything like that, and it's been ripped off God knows how many times since.
So can we talk about why zombies are so appealing? And I've got a little theory on this. It's like apocalyptic type world where your primal instincts are what's going to get you through. There's very few humans left, and you're faced with this horde of like brainless zombies. And you know, it's very popular in out in the real world now to have zombie experiences. To try and get that experience. There's even one in Denby. I saw it the other day. Wow. I was like, wow, I'm going to take the guys there for there's like zombie experiences in this old church. But you know, there's that primal survival instinct that you don't get in regular society, which people are like, what's the first thing you would do if you were faced in a zombie apocalypse? What would you do? Would you go smash some windows in a convenience store and grab loads of food, or would you hold yourself up in the attic or something? Yeah. It's like that's exciting, is it? You know, it's like you don't really entertain the fact that you might die in all of this. It's like, how would you survive this? Because you're thinking about surviving. It's that's the zombie allure, I guess.
So for me, I mean, I know we're not a TV channel, but if we look at the Walking Dead series, that's what that tapped into for the first season, right? Because it was about the fall. It was like about he's coming around and he's like, oh my God, I'm in a hospital and everything. What's happened? Yeah. You know, and it's that mystery of what you do in those first stages. And the first season nailed that, and then after that, it becomes the devastating reality of actually what's happened and how hard it is psychologically on everyone and stuff. And that stuff is less entertaining, so that's probably where the Walking Dead kind of fell off. But I think you're dead right. That is exactly
the appeal of zombies.
Yeah, that's exactly the appeal. Initially, is like, what would you do? How would you react to this?
But you're talking about State of Decay, right? And you're talking about these little communities that you go into, and you like you get a shotgun, and it's like that survival aspect of it. It's like, oh, I've found something that's going to increase my survival chances, or I found a group that's going to help me, and you know, it's all to do with that primal instinct of survival.
So I'm going to ask you now, guys. I'm going to assume something. When did you get burnt out on zombies?
This is an interesting one, because I think that we're not. We just think we are. This is the whole thing. I don't think we are. I think The Last of Us, me and Gaz, even you, right? Love it. Zombie game.
Even me.
No, it's because I was just thinking in my head. Walking Dead, we're a fan.
Yeah.
Zombie game.
Yeah.
Days Gone.
When did you play Walking Dead?
When it came out, 2011.
Right. So when was the last time you played a game that had zombies in it that you were thinking, this is amazing? It's difficult, isn't it? I feel like
I played The Last of Us a couple of years ago.
And The Last of Us is the last big
The Last of Us is probably
Days Gone's upcoming, and I'm really looking forward to that.
You're really excited for Days Gone? Okay, that's
But I'm with Jake. I don't think we're burnt out on zombies. I think it's great to have in the background while you're telling the story. It's a great platform for telling a story.
It's the crutch, isn't it? It holds it all up. There's so much shite, but I think we all know it's shite, and we haven't played it. You know, like what I mean. It's like there's all these Steam Green
so
zombies.
Diluted, isn't it?
We hear about them, but I don't think any of us DayZ from 2012 was like the start of this all. But that's the only one I played. So.
I actually had DayZ on my list of possible best zombie games ever, because that was amazing for the desperate survival situation that put you in to begin with, and just look what's happened to it since. It's just the wheels have fallen off at Big Star, because there's a whole zombie game scene that is just eroding. Yeah. It's just falling apart as people are losing interest in it, and they're becoming things like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is battle royale. There's no zombies, even though they want to add zombies into it because of the request. That has exploded because it's a completely different scenario with similar rules.
That the fun isn't the zombies. That's the thing with DayZ. They've just gone like, oh, this game's good without the zombies, but you know,
yeah.
It's the same survival scenario, but there's no zombies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Talking of recent games, early access one that we started playing on Discord recently was 7 Days to Die, and we played it with Cropper and a couple of other players are playing it on too. And it is that survival crafting, just last as long as you can. The zombies are coming at you, and I mean, I enjoyed it to a certain extent. You can see why, but the whole point of it is that there is zombies and there's nothing more to it. It is kind of, and when they announced the battlegrounds, they're going to have zombies in it. There was a solid eye roll from me. I've got to be said. It's like they don't have to zombie the fuck out of everything. Like it's like but then when you kind of think about it and you look at some gameplay where people were modded it to look like they're playing zombies.
Well, they were playing as the zombies.
Yeah,
as well.
it looked really interesting again because that survival instinct kicks in and you've got like, how the fuck do I get out of this situation? It's like, I think we are a little bit like bored of it, but at the same time it's still exciting.
Right.
Yeah, they can be done right. It's that thing, when people say zombies, you just immediately go, oh, it's like they've just gone for the zombies.
Yeah.
They've just gone, what's cool at the moment, zombies. Yeah. But then when they get like I'm saying, most of the best games I ever played, like Resident Evil 1, 4, I don't know if you count 7, but like I'm saying, zombies ain't my neighbours. I love Plants vs. Zombies, Left 4 Dead 2, I played online a lot. Zombies. The Last of Us, Walking Dead. So it's like, it's a weird one because whenever someone says zombie mode, it's like, ugh. But then whenever I'm playing it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like a regular mode on Call of Duty, I'd be but zombies I'm interested in playing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the opposite for me for Call of Duty.
Well, World at War had the zombie mode, the first one, 2009 I think, and it was real good. Like it was so good that they made it a staple in the series, and it was only supposed to be a one-off. This one is
just a
interesting.
bit of fun, really, wasn't it?
Well, this is it. It was fun, and it got goofy as fuck. Like this, like the last one is like, it's like Dead Rising sort of thing more than anything. It's not the horror aspect. This new trailer that leaked, it's like
right,
horror, scary.
Yeah. So that was kind of going to be my final point.
Sorry.
I mean, did we stop? No. It's kind of leads into it. I mean, they're not scary. Zombies are not scary anymore. I can't remember last time I was scared of zombies. Like I felt like I was under a lot of pressure. It might have been Resident Evil 4, I guess, when there's situations in that where you're like boarding up the house, like you're pushing wardrobes in front of doors and stuff like that to stop them coming in, which is amazing, right? That is really good stuff, really desperate, like a scary scenario to be in. But I can't remember the last time. I think games that kind of creep me out are games that I'm a big fan of, like Dead Space and stuff like that, because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. So that just kind of takes zombie to a whole new level where it's like just mashed up flesh, and you never would describe it as a zombie, but it's kind of still mindless monsters that just want to destroy you. And
from humans, right? Well, they came from humans.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a reanimated corpse.
It's just biological material. So that's a lot more of a sci-fi kind of idea. But that scared the shit out of me because it was the first one was a scary game and a scary situation. You felt lonely, you felt besieged. Yeah. When was the last time you were scared by zombies?
Well, it matters how the zombies behave, though, doesn't it? You think about State of Decay. I wasn't scared 1 minute in State of Decay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because them zombies, they just like mill around and they're like, you can shoot me if you want.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. Or there's lots of other games. It all depends on the behavior and like how fast they are, what they're going to do to you, like how many of them there are. It all depends on that, I think.
What they do in games like State of Decay is they'll add one that's big and it'll like do a big roar that you can hear from the distance, and that'll be like, what's that? And you might get that kind of feeling, and you go in there and it's a big nest full of zombies. That's probably as close as it gets in a game like that.
But you look at a game, the trailer from last year of Days Gone, where there's a huge shitload of zombies and they're running at you so fast. There's a huge horde, and like you're taking them down. Yeah, and they're all falling as you're shooting. They look scary as fuck.
And that's something we haven't seen, really, is it?
Yeah,
yet,
and it looks really great.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Jackie. When was the last time you were scared?
I don't know, really. I think in The Last of Us, there's a couple of tight scenes in the sewers.
Yeah, totally.
And you've got to rely on your hearing, which I think is pretty interesting. And they can run fast,
Yeah.
And I like that, obviously, you've got like the clickers who can't see, but they can hear.
They're basically
so you're conscious about your sounds. And, unless you've got a shiv, you're fucked, aren't you? And then you've got the the running ones, and they like mumbling, and sometimes you can hear them like in the next room, and they're like, whoa. And that's pretty scary. I guess the last time I was properly scared though, like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, this is
terrifying.
Yeah.
That's what scares me. I'm anxious. Resident Evil 5 even scared me. What scares me is having 5 bullets and seeing 10 people. That scares me. That's where my fear lies. Like, jump scares don't bother me. It's like the anxiety. And zombies have that pressure. Days Gone, hordes of zombies, so much zombies it looks like a liquid because like they're flowing and flowing. That's terrifying to me. That's you know,
it does look scary.
Okay, so that's zombies thoroughly digested, I guess. It's an interesting topic. I mean, it's something that is just going to keep going, isn't it? Zombies will always be a part of like popular culture, but it's got so much steam in it. You can already see people doing creative things like Days Gone, where they're just changing the rules, adding a lot more zombies that come at you in a wave. Things like that that'll just keep it moving forward for a little while at least. But Jose Romero, R.I.P. I guess.
What a legacy to leave behind.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to Jump then. So this is Jump, the subscription-based gaming new thing that's now in beta. You can trial it now, and there's a little small sample of games that you can play. Is it free? The beta?
The beta's free, yeah.
So what it is they've pitched it as the Netflix of video games. So it's going to launch later this summer on Windows, Mac, and Linux. With 60 games, 60 to 100 games.
Has it got a theme tune? Is it the Girls Aloud Jump?
Jump. Crisscross jump.
Not really.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No, I think so. So they're going to add more games periodically, and they say it's like highly curated. So the point they're making is it's not going to be like Steam Greenlight trash and loads of, you know, it's going to be good, like indie darlings that the team really like and that are reviewed strongly. Those are going to be the types of games that you can play on it. And yeah, so there's a closed beta, and that's going to be running until July the 24th. So you can jump into that and have a spin.
Jump into that.
Right,
Am I the only one who noticed that?
No, you're
guys, you're so slow.
You're genius.
Dead right all over again. Anyway, so the subscription, when it actually goes live, it'll start at $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to those games. So it's basically like Netflix. There's all this huge library that you can dip into as much as you want, and it's $10. Now, what it does differently is it's not like PlayStation Now, which is just shit cloud streaming that doesn't work very well. This is kind of, it like partially installs it. It downloads a bunch of files, a bunch of key files when you fire it up. So you got to wait like 30 seconds to a minute before the game actually fires up, depending on, you know, how many files there are and how big the game is and stuff. So
it works kind of like miniclip.com or like a Java, where it kind of works in your browser, and you've got to wait a bit, but you know, it's a decent game at the end of it.
So the idea is that there's no latency then, because you've got some of it, and then I'm assuming in the background then it's downloading more stuff as you're playing, and it's not like it's having to send your controls to the server and back every time like that kind of thing that has to happen in PlayStation Now, which makes playing games, you know, not so fun because there is a bit of latency. So there should be, in theory, no latency in this kind of model, which is interesting, right? So the games you can play on it in beta already. What were you playing? Teslagrad?
I was playing Teslagrad, yeah. A little bit before we recorded, didn't I?
And there's the Bridge, which is like a logic puzzle game, and an action game called Stunt Runner. There's just a small handful, basically, to test the technology, I'm guessing. There's also going to be games for HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, which is interesting.
That is good, yeah.
How are they going to manage that?
I'm not sure. So the first question I've got, you've played it. You've had a go on it, Jake. What's your first impression of it?
It's cool. I love the idea. I mean, do you want me to talk about what's on there? Or
totally, yeah. What have you been playing?
Well, Teslagrad, and that's it, really. There's another one, Sproggywood or something like that. I was having a little go off.
Feels like a made-up kid's word. That,
yeah, I just
kids
made
insult.
it up.
Sproggywood.
Yeah, your little Sproggywood.
Yeah.
It sounds like a place from Yonder. Right,
okay.
That's the sort of
a reference that no one in this room gets because we haven't played Yonder.
Yeah. One for no one at this point. Anyway, yeah, that's it's real good. Now I've got a Steam Link at home, and I stream my PC to my telly, and latency is a bit of an issue. I've bought the things to turn my connection, you know, wired through the power supply. I've had to do a lot of tweaking, a lot of calibrating. You can tell when there's a little tiny bit of latency.
Yeah.
You can tell. This, smooth as hell. I mean, the downside of it, of course, you're going to need an internet connection to play. It's probably not that stable because you're downloading partial assets. But the idea of playing indie games, indie games whose main criticism indie games get, too short, not worth the money.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 hours to play What Remains of Edith Finch, that's the mention for the week, and you don't want to spend £15 on a 2 hour game, and you've got a service where you can play all these like Netflix.
But is that's a question. Like, are they going to be able to facilitate games like What Remains of Edith Finch? Is that part of the list of games? Because it seems to me like the games that they've offered or that what we've seen are really simple, and it might be a limitation of the technology to be able to offer games that are full 3D type of world.
You see, I thought that as well, and I thought maybe they're just picking these because they're 2D. And then I saw the Vive, and I'm thinking Vive's going to take a lot of power, right? You know, because even a 2D Vive game, it's still rendering in, you know. So I'm thinking, maybe not. The thing about indie games is loads of them, the way that they're developed, it's not just for aesthetic purposes. They have to have 2D graphics because they can't make it
realistic, isn't it?
Fully realized games. So like you see Owlboy and Cuphead, which is coming out. It's all 2D because it's indie, not you know. And that is the question on my lips. Now I think because of the Vive thing kind of gives it away that they might have a lot of processing power, but you might have a very good point.
So is there implication that they might be able to have these like huge games with 3D environments, but so far we haven't seen evidence of that. So
what's on display is not very impressive.
Yeah,
you know, it's all stuff you could play like. You could probably play all these games on a SNES.
Well, yeah, that was my other question as well. There's websites out there like miniclip.com or king.com or whatever they are. I'm not sure. I don't play much of them myself, but they offer that same kind of experience with us. Indie games, all right, they're real bottom, scrape the barrel type indie games, but they're still games that you can play. So what's going to tempt people away from playing those types of games? Because there are people out there playing them games for free. And moving them over to this service where you've got to pay a subscription.
That's where the highly curated comes in, isn't
I think that's probably
they're saying highly curated. So their sales point, the selling point is these are going to be amazing 9, 10 out of 10 games that you could that you'd have to pay 15 quid to play one of them otherwise. I think that is the strategy. And also when like internet, when our technology improves, which it will in 2 or 3 years, everyone will have fiber optic broadband eventually. It'll be able to download more assets in shorter amount of time and stuff. So as a starting point, just having 2D side scrolls and stuff, I think is fine. But you give it, you'd expect as the technology improves, as more people get fiber broadband and stuff, they can just put bigger games on there, 3D games like Edith Finch.
I used to subscribe to a service called OnLive. I had a trial at least. I don't know if you remember OnLive, but that was full. I tried BioShock, the original, on that. And that was a full. You'd play on a server elsewhere. There wasn't much lag, input lag, but the resolution, because my internet connection was limited, the resolution was lowered. But that was a reasonable experience. Like I can see, like I'm thinking to myself, why don't more people offer that type of service where you can? They need servers, so that elsewhere off-site, so you could literally play on like a laptop or something, or like a non-hardware, just a regular laptop. Anything
that you can plug a controller into, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You can play on a tablet, maybe. You know what I mean? You can play a fully fleshed out game, a AAA game with awesome graphics, as long as you've got the internet connection to support it, on a tablet.
Yeah.
I mean, that idea is amazing to me, and I think that if nobody's doing it, because OnLive died, didn't it, a few years ago, and nobody's doing it now. Okay, there's this
PlayStation
jump.
Now do it.
They do that.
That's limited to Sony hardware, Sony games, Sony's back catalogue, which
exactly.
it's not
Sony,
even it's not even it's not even that good of a library of games to begin with, and it's like $12.50 or something like that a month, which is too much, right?
For a lot of PS3 games and stuff.
Yeah,
OnLive was fucking. I forgot the name of it, and it must be the same thing. And my brother showed me it a couple of years ago, and I was playing a bit of Arkham City, the Arkham Asylum, and it was new at the time, like fairly new. And I was like, "This is amazing! This is awesome!" And like I had a similar thing with you, like it got a bit pixelated. It would drop in frames, but I remember going, "This is really good," and I never remember the name of it, and you just made me like, I don't know.
It just died on its ass because
it
didn't. I think it was just too early. Like people's connections aren't good enough yet. That's just
the technology. The technology wasn't there. But what I think is that although this jump sounds like it's taking a step in the right direction towards that, I think it might set. It's like start paving the way for more services like this in future. The actual Netflix streaming, because this isn't the Netflix streaming. This is the the really scaled down. I don't know. It's not Netflix for gaming, is it?
I think they've done a very smart thing by targeting it to indie games.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see why it works on a business level, right? On one point, the hardware capabilities on their side need to be lower. Two, people that buy indie games are normally people who are more averse to taking risks. They're not buying big games. They're the ones that are spending this money. You know, they've got the feelers out, if you know what I'm saying. They're ones wanting to check out all the stuff. I play a lot of indie games, and another thing is they're games that are shorter. So, you know, people who wouldn't necessarily pay to play any game for 2 hours or whatever. There's a new one out, Serial Cleaner. People are complaining that that's quite short. It's going to be a good opportunity. And like you're saying, if anything, it's just going to... Indie games paved the way a lot of the time for a lot of things, in my opinion. But this is going to... And hopefully we'll see a more mainstream thing. Like you guys are saying, On Live was ahead of its time, and I hope that it gets remembered as the one that it went out on its arse. It got its head chopped off, but when that eventually because Netflix, I'm sure people didn't think that was a good idea when that started. You know,
Blockbuster famously laughed it off. Blockbuster was like, this is ridiculous, and look where Blockbuster is now. You know what I mean?
And it's because just of the advances of technology, so you can now stream TV no problem. What's going to stop you streaming games? You know, more technology, more advances. It's definitely not going to be a fad, this, I don't reckon. Streaming games, they're going to keep trying to find a way to make this happen.
There's a place for it in the future, I think.
Yeah, I think they've framed it as well as they could have in the circumstances. Like you said, targeting indie is spot on. Going for 2D side scrollers, which is achievable, and of course it's gonna be able to download all the assets quickly enough and stuff. And just the basic fact that some indies are very short and maybe not quite worth the price for some people for that short of an experience. So this is ideal to get. If they can get older indies as well, games like Brothers Tales Two Sons, which I played recently and stuff, which I can't see why not, because it's a small file size in that game.
That Limbo, Inside, stuff like that. Perfect.
It could build up
so many amazing opportunities,
classics that you might.
So many games. Absu, people would be like about paying for the price of that. You know, all Firewatch. You know, the opportunity is so exciting. If I could pay £10, you know what I mean, I would not recommend loads of indie games to people, because every single recommendation is another £10 out of your pocket. If I said get yourself a month free trial to Jump and then play Inside, Firewatch, What Remains of Edith,
Little Nightmares,
exactly, and it's like that.
It would be worth it. I mean, I'd see the value in that for sure.
So
they've framed it very well.
Why the fuck haven't they announced their release titles? Because surely
they're probably working on it.
It's out soon. It's out literally. It's weeks away, and the beta's closing soon.
Don't get angry, dude. Just get patient. Be patient.
But I want to see what their release lineup's going to be like, because I'll subscribe.
It would be interesting. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
The trial thing is definitely interesting as well, because how long would they trial it for? Like you'd need a good month, I think, to really see the value of it. You know,
free trial. I mean, it is interesting. I wonder how many of the games on the lineup are going to be able to. Because by the way, just a quick one. You have to download the app or the executable file or whatever it is for Linux. Or you can play the games in browser. You can play them in browser, like miniclip.com. So you can just go on Jump's website, play the games in browser. And I wonder if they do extend to Vive games. Could you play a Vive game in a browser? What the hell? That seems so weird to me.
No, it'll just be some sort of...
there's got to be something that
integrates,
So there we go. That's Jump, the new Netflix for gaming streaming services. Well, Netflix for indie gaming, I guess, more specifically. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that. So before we do the comments then, we need to announce the winner of our EGX Superpass giveaway. So we asked you to... suggest, like, what might you buy us at let's say a video game convention in Birmingham? What kind of drinks would you buy us at the bar? Loads of you gave
purely hypothetical, obviously.
Just a bit of fun. We asked you to answer that, and you did really well. Some of you were really creative with the answers, and it was just a fantastic job all around. So nice one, everyone, for bothering in the first place, and thank you for being so bloody creative with it. We laughed at a lot of them, so good job. But so I guess the winner is...
We haven't picked
one yet.
We haven't
decided it yet. So,
but by the time we've edited this video, we will have a winner. So we'll edit it in right about now.
So congratulations.
Oh,
wow.
We knew it was going to be you.
Yeah, what a chuckle that was.
Nailed on all that.
Nice one.
Philip.
You, whoever you are.
So thank you very much again for entering, everyone.
Yeah, if you want to contact us, and by the way, if you can't make the events, let us know as soon as possible, and we'll move these tickets on to somebody else. And please don't take them if you're not intending to go, because we want to meet you. You know, we want to meet one of the.
And we want our fucking drinks.
Yeah, no. That's not exactly what I was going with that, Mike. But Mike wants his drinks, and we want to meet someone in the community. Don't be selling these tickets on, because that would be a no-no. We would frown upon that. So
that'd be horrible.
Yeah, we would frown upon that.
Yeah, and we'll arrange a time to meet you, and have a
So don't break our hearts, is what goes. Yeah. Okay, so. Comments? Let's move
let's do the comments.
We've got quite a lot of
we got loads. This is actually the first week we've had to cut them down. So I'm gonna put that out there now. I'll break the news to you, let you down easy, gently. I mean, it's just had to be cold this week for the first time, which broke my heart. We had so many questions, so many good questions. We've been building up to this.
Yeah, we promised all along that we would answer every $5 pledge patron, and so far we were able to answer all the $1 patrons as well.
Because we're awesome.
But because we're awesome. But it's just been too much this time. So unfortunately, we do apologise to the people for the $1 patrons. We've had to cut your questions because there just simply isn't enough time. But
this is how it's going to be.
If you keep asking us, or follow, tweet us or something, I'm sure you'll get
keep asking.
There's also a high chance sometimes if we avoid a question, it's because we've already answered it. We get a lot of questions.
Or ask better questions, because some of the questions are just bad.
Listen, let me give you some guidelines. Right, we've already answered what our favourite games are. What game would we make ourselves? Who can make our dream game? What would be cool is what the questions we want to answer most, the ones we get excited about most are either funny ones or ones that are like,
what do you think about X?
Yeah, issues like what do you want us to talk about? What do you want to hear our thoughts on anything or whatever? But in general,
I'll tell you my favourite colour if you really want to know. Yeah. But maybe that's a tweet rather than a podcast question.
Jake is a big fan of the food questions. Like he loves the.
You can tell.
Yeah, it's just he's a guy's an aspiring chef, so all the food questions Jake's a fan of. But I mean, just gaming related.
Don't ask me for like recipes. How would you make potato dauphinoise? A lot of questions get asked a lot, and maybe we should even start an FAQ section. So
that would be good. Yeah.
Our favourite games are this. Stop asking us. Because we.
What are your favourite zombie games?
So many times I can say Tenchu in a podcast.
Yeah.
21 for 21 so far.
That's it. Yeah.
And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Let's get into it.
So with that in mind, keep your questions coming in. Definitely. Don't stop. I'm really worried now. I was going to 3 questions in the next one.
We'll have to use last week's.
So keep your questions coming in. We do love them. We read all of them. But this is unfortunately the first week where we can't read all of them out. Sorry, guys. So first up, Paul Dagnall asks, I love a good stealth game, but what is each of your favourite type of game? E.g. first-person shooter, role-playing game. Thanks, lads. Have a good one. So what's your favourite genre?
I love stealth. I do, but maybe RPG. Stealth games, they're kind of coming back. I can see a resurgence. And Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun's bloody good. And remember from last week, guys. But yeah, it's got to be the old high fantasy RPG. Can't get enough of the old wizards and Dex and Int and all that stuff. So yeah, classic old high fantasy proper Western RPGs.
Lovely, jubbly, Gareth.
I don't like a specific genre. I like a mix of genre. I would say like RPG light. Story-driven, open-world action game.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So something like The Last of Us maybe is almost there. It's not open world, but it's almost.
Well, it doesn't have to be open world, you see, because it can be. It can be
flexible. You're a flexible guy.
I'm a flexible guy.
So mine, I mean, I love so many genres. The genres I really can't get on with are it's like sport in general, racing games. I can't tell you how boring racing games are to me, and like Telltale games. I just can't get on with games like.
That's how many times are you going to get that opportunity just to fucking.
Okay, however,
we've got that, Mike. You don't like. I mean, that's the third time I think you brought it up. Let's talk about games you do like, Mike.
Until Dawn, which is kind of a Telltale type game. I loved Until Dawn. I don't know why, that just did something right, and I flipping loved it. But otherwise, I've just strategy, isn't it? I'm an addict basically. I uninstalled Total War Warhammer the other day because I was playing it too much. 3 days later, I watched Castlevania, the TV series. The character said "Pikes in front." That was one line from the animated series Castlevania, and I was like, "Fuck, I've got
the addiction." You start twitching. Start twitching. The addiction.
And I installed it and started playing as the vampires. I mean, yeah. So let's move on. Simply Phil asks, if you could put your own development team and publisher together to create your perfect game, who would you include? How about No Man's Sky Z, a zombie fable created by Dean Hall, Peter Molyneux, and Sean Murray, published by Ubisoft. Well, that's just a holy mess of
shit show that sounds like, Phil.
I don't know. I kind of feel like that would be amazing. I don't know. There's some talent there. Like, there's talented guys. Dean Hall, Peter Molyneux, Sean Murray. Ubisoft will let them side down.
They can't finish. They can't. They'll be in early access.
No, they won't finish it.
Yeah,
that's right. They won't finish it. It won't live up to anyone's expectations, and it'll have a fuckload of microtransactions
Hype
and stuff
the
in
game.
It would be fucking interesting, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would play that game. I would play that game. I don't know. What about you guys? If like, make it easier, then let's just pick one MVP that you definitely would want.
No, I just hired the whole team that made Skate 3, and I'd make Skate 4.
Okay.
No, we can't.
You just said something really funny, but I don't know if it's.
It's not on video.
It's on mic.
So we can have skate footage.
I'll send you some stock footage of loads of people laughing.
Okay.
And my hilarious joke.
Okay. All right, guys, what about you?
Who would I choose to make my game for me?
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. I don't really have an answer right now. Can you got an answer first?
Well, I was just talking about the strategy. I would get the Creative Assembly indie, so that they're not prone to all Sega's bollocks, DLC, like the latest. Okay, never mind. I was going to talk about the new DLC.
Yeah, you hold that in, boy.
That'll be in the Sunday Roundup, hopefully. Yeah, so I'd get the Creative Assembly, who we have met now, which is awesome. But I mean, I would get them because they made two of my favorite games the last few years: Alien Isolation and Total War Warhammer. I would get them to make a Lord of the Rings Total War game, which, again, I have mentioned about 6 times in the recording of this podcast since we started doing it. But I would get them to make a Lord of the Rings Total War game. Creative Assembly are very talented, and I really like the polish and so some games aside, I really like the amount of effort and the passion they put into their games, and all their games I'm a big fan of, so Creative Assembly.
All right, I got a couple. Neil Druckmann, Kojima. I can't think of a third, but if we're putting a team together, I mean, why not go for the All-Stars?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. You don't need more than that, do you? You don't need more than them two.
No, definitely not. All right, nice one, man. Good question. So Morton asks, which is your favourite bromance in video games? My favourite is Shepard and Garrus, off of Mass Effect, of course. A favourite bromance?
A bromance?
Yeah.
The guys out of Golden Axe.
The barbarian and the dwarf.
Yeah, that's it. That's my favourite.
Yeah, all the two guys from Streets of Rage, actually, they're pretty applicable.
Yeah.
Cloud and Barrett from Final Fantasy VII have got the bromance of the century. I love that shit.
Yeah, it has to be Final Fantasy. I think you're going to say Final Fantasy 15. Are you?
I would have said Garrus and Shepard. I'm a huge fan of Mass Effect, and they're awesome, like distant, like cold friends, but it's fucking badass. It's really cool. I think. I probably. I'm amazing myself, but I probably will say Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
the lads, and
it.
it's because the arc that I went on with, because I hated them. Yeah. Right? I
remember you saying, I was like, I quite like Prompto, and you were like, no, he's fucking annoying. Yeah, you remember?
Yeah.
It's like 6 months ago.
I kind of liked Ignis, and that was it, right? And then at the end, I was like, oh my god, these are bad boys for life. Like, I really like them. So there you go, Final Fantasy 15. Who knew? Andy Elliott asks, what kind of gaming setups do you all have? For example, do you have a gaming shrine with all the best equipment, or just have a casual setup in your living room? I really enjoy gaming, but I have an average desk in my bedroom with a 1080p TV and a fairly powerful Alienware PC. Yeah, I don't have I mean, I've got a gaming room study thing where my PC is, which is cool.
I don't really have any. I've got a whole fucking room.
No, it's not. It's just I just moved house, so I had the power to be like, I'm putting my desk in here, and I can play games in there.
My man cave.
Yeah, exactly. And my place, and all that's in there is literally my PC and some boxes. But my my PlayStation's downstairs, so it's pretty average, really, pretty casual, you might say.
Oh, you got your own fucking gaming room. That's pretty
cool. You got your own attic, though, haven't you?
I've got my own attic. My attic is, that's the ultimate Jake cave. I've just got film memorabilia, not like tacky, like full size, like swords and shit. I just got a couple of signed film posters and that. I got my fucking gaming rig, and I got a TV in there. And then downstairs, in the front room, I had the PS4. So that's about it.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I've got a home office where I've got I use my laptop. I've got a couple that I bring to work and that gaming PCs. So yeah, it's a dedicated sit at the table kind of experience for me, or sitting at the table playing PlayStation. I would sit on the couch playing. I never play the couch.
Oh, right, okay, that's interesting. All right then. So there you go, dude. Rudy Manchego asks, do you guys have or regularly use any portable gaming consoles such as 3DS, Switch, etc.? Yeah. Does the early success of the Switch success that portable gaming still has a healthy future, or is mobile gaming just eaten into the market?
Whoa,
that's a good question. I mean, I can start this. When I can't remember how old I was, maybe 10 years old, 11. I bought a Game Boy, right? I remember getting my birthday money and going down to the shop in town, buying a Game Boy, getting Batman and Tetris or something. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. And only recently gave it to my cousin, I think, about 5 or 10 years ago, maybe. So I was obviously, as an early player of mobile devices, really interested. I got the Switch. I like it. I don't think there's enough games on it. I think that it's very limited. They're all kiddie type games. They're not. Although the adverts are like, yeah, there's like fully grown adults playing this console, but they're all kiddie games. What the fuck? Well, I'm not playing kiddie games. So give me some decent games. And when it comes to mobile, I think maybe mobile's just easier because everyone's got a mobile device.
I play a lot of iPad games. I mean, I've got a lot of. I'm playing Final Fantasy 9 on it now. I've played Knights of the Old Republic and stuff, and you can play such good products on your iPad. I mean, the control input isn't ideal. Like touching the screen can be pretty bad, but it's great for so many different genres. So yeah, I think it absolutely has eaten into the mobile portable gaming market. Like I wouldn't even think of getting a PlayStation Vita or anything like that.
Yeah, they're huge in Japan. 3DS is massive in Japan, biggest selling console, isn't it? I think, it's just huge, and you can totally see why. If you watched our video about mobile gaming earlier this week, you'll see exactly why Japan are so into the handheld thing. I loved my Game Boy as a kid, like Castlevania, Pokemon Red, and Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening. Since then, I haven't really felt the urge. I had to go with Gaz's Switch for a bit. It's no different. I played it docked half the time. I don't really commute enough, to be honest, that it's worth it. But
it is great when you're traveling.
It is good, and when we're at EGX, I'm sure we'll all be having some form of portable gaming going on. Yeah. It's definitely still got a place, and like Liam, who's obviously, as you can tell, not here, he's got all the portable consoles.
He's got all the consoles.
Yeah,
he's
got all the games.
He was like PSP and PS Vita. He still plays them, as far as I'm aware. Like he really is an advocate for that. So it's still got a place. So, like Liam is testament to that. It's still got a market.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Just need to make more stuff. The Switch needs a stronger lineup.
Yeah, totally. So Ginger Tube asks a question more aimed at Gaz. Those youths, his spelling, were barely hatched. What's your favourite Amiga game, and what one did you have? What one did you have? I was plugging away on the A550. I don't understand that question because I never had an Amiga. I was barely hatched, as he points out.
550 was the size of the RAM, I think.
I see. So he would have to go with Turrican 2 or Lemmings.
Great choices, by the way. Turrican 2 was a classic, and I saw some discussions in the Discord about the music. Awesome. Lemmings, oh man, for my first strategy game, have you played the original Lemmings? Yeah. I've seen it. Absolutely amazing. But I'm going to have to go for The Secret of Monkey Islands. I loved that game. Absolutely loved it. And for the only game that stuck with me, like there's certain things I still remember, like the dueling, and there's like the insults during the dueling. Where you're doing the sword fighting.
This is gas nostalgia. It's happening.
Gastalgia.
It's happening.
But playing that game now, it might not. I think the same. I wouldn't think it was so good. But there's certain things like you hide a file in the cake and give it to someone to break out of jail and shit. It's awesome. Like there's those memories. But that's the only game that I've got those memories.
Would you buy an Amiga Mini Classic?
Yes. I definitely would.
There we go. See, the appeal is there.
It was nice, that. Just a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
All right, cheers, man. Good question. Reyes asks, if you could stop any one of these stupid gaming practices like microtransactions in full-price games, season passes, and so on, what would it be? For me, it would be all those PC-made trailers. Nothing boils my blood like seeing a PlayStation exclusive game with a PC trailer attached to it. Yeah, there's a lot that I would want to clamp down on. The problem is though, this is the money-driven, highly corporate industry these days. So whatever you would take away, they would find some other way of screwing you over. So it doesn't really matter what you'd take away. All of it. For starters, you know, I would take away any investors, any shareholders, any corporation and board meeting. I would get rid of. That is what I would do. It'd be wholesale changes, baby. Yeah. I would clamp down on that shit. I don't know about you guys. It's a tough question.
I would remove the ability to monetize your product more than once. One price, one product.
Yeah,
that's it. No DLC bullshit. No microtransactions. You can charge once for a product, and then that is it.
And make it be illegal to charge more than once.
To even ask for any more money.
Yeah.
You scamming motherfuckers.
Jake?
I don't know. I would just ban any game that the good guy turns out to be the bad guy at the end and betray you. I fucking hate that shit. Ban that. Stop. You do what you know.
You're talking about banning tropes.
Yeah, ban that. Fuck all that. Ban that. No, yeah, there's too much bullshit. I fucking hate the loot crate system. Really don't like that at the moment. And it's so many times this year that I've... Battlefront 2. Is Destiny going to have a loot crate system? Probably. Is Call of Duty probably?
That's really going to affect my enjoyment of the game if it's got
exactly. And I really am going to be playing these big mainstream games and going... So yeah, ban them as well.
It's not going to affect me because I won't be buying that shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and Vinny Bartel says, what was your favourite arcade game that you remember playing? My friends... Why did I read that so badly then? That you remember playing. I'll give that another stab. Sorry, Vinny. What was your favourite arcade game you remember playing? My friends and I had a great time with Area 51 and Strikers 1945 when we were kids. Mine is Marvel vs. Capcom. I played loads of that in Llandudno, which is a town in North Wales, and it's got loads of arcades there. And I played the shit out of Marvel vs. Capcom, and it was amazing. It's like 98, 99, 2000, around that time.
Yeah.
There was one where there's a Western, like, actual shooting one.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. You shoot where you're heading. I remember the tagline, but I don't
no way.
remember what it's
Quite
called.
a famous one, that.
Yeah. And the other one I would say is Golden Axe is a classic.
Yeah.
I played so much. I used to live right next to the arcades. And I guess if I'm going to go for another one, I will have to say, it's gone out of my head. It's gone. I've just dumped. I'm just sick and brain dumped.
So I in Cheshire Oaks there was a arcade of this game called Point Blank. I loved it, and eventually I got it.
That was on PS1.
I got it for the. I was about to say I got it for the PlayStation because I loved it so much. And yeah, it was just like a fun old, like a gun shooter.
Shitty.
Time Crisis was pretty good as well.
Time Crisis was dope.
But Point Blank is my favourite. If
nice.
Remember
good
that,
answer.
shouts out to you.
Good answers, gents. Very good. RG Sanders, digital versus disc, convenience versus tradability. Probably not a word. Tradability? I don't know. Why not? There's all kinds of shit, all kinds of words being thrown around these days.
We've had this discussion in the past. I feel like we actually we kind of do a video on this and where we talked about this.
Which is better.
Digital
games.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm just all digital.
Yeah, convenience of digital versus the you're not all digital because you like to buy games and then trade them in. I've
got a lot of games to trade in. Yeah, totally. But I've been won over by digital. I think just the over time how cheap they become and how amazing.
It's the fact that you can buy a game and play it within the hour.
Yeah,
that's what's so convenient for me. Because back in my day, if you wanted a game, it was an all-day thing. You had to go to town to buy the game, to get back home and then try it. Or you had to order it online and you had to wait a couple of days for it to arrive. But all of that's gone now. So I mean, if you had to scrap one or the other, I'd scrap disc easy.
Yeah, and I want to see refunds. I want to see Steam refunds on PlayStation and Xbox. And I like, because like you might buy a game like Ghost Recon Wildlands on PlayStation and really regret it. I mean, sorry, Jake. It's Jake's recommendation. You've been doing so well on your recommendations, and Ghost Recon Wildlands is one that I fired it up the other day, and I was like, this is bollocks. This is bollocks, though.
You've been playing Battlegrounds, haven't you?
I've been playing Battlegrounds. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I maybe so. I've only played like 4 or 5 hours, but if I'd have maybe played 2 hours, I could have decided.
Well, that's what you get for being a console scrub.
No, it's not console. It's not console scrubbishness.
Playing it on PS. Tell me that if you'd played it on mouse keyboard, it would have been worse.
Yeah, probably. It's not a fun game. It needs refundability. It needs like the option to know that don't have to go all in on 40 quid, 50 quid,
Yeah.
and lose it immediately. Like, you need to be able to know you can get your money back and it not be like a one-off.
Yeah.
Like, that's your one refund. You can never do
That
it
is
again.
absolutely huge, because if you buy a game for 50 quid and you decide you don't like it after 5 hours,
Yeah.
it's a big fucking waste of money, that, isn't
Exactly. If anything, it would encourage sales. People would be more willing to go all in on games if they knew that they could spend a couple of hours before
Trade it on, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So there we go. Good question, Azzy Sanders. But yeah, I think we've definitely talked about it in the past. And finally, D. Jep says, do you think split-screen gaming will ever become popular again? I remember having a blast playing GoldenEye, Halo, and other FPS games with friends all in the same room. Are those days gone for good? I hope not. I love split-screen.
GoldenEye was a staple for me as a child again. One of the ones that I remember very dearly and have really fond memories of. So to think that I could live in a world where people couldn't have that experience growing up in their gaming, lives, it's sad. It's sad to think of that.
Yeah.
So they need more split screen. There's that game coming out soon where
A Way Out.
A Way Out, where they've got like the whole game gets played in split
The
screen.
whole game's
deliberately
based on the
co-op.
fact that the guy was pissed off he couldn't play split screen
Yeah,
games.
and it's great.
So yeah, I bet we've all got fond memories of it because we're kind of just pre-internet era, and yeah, to think that these days. To play a game with your mate, you both need a copy of the game. You both need an internet connection. There's a couple of games that are split screen, they're mostly indie ones and that. But I loved it. Desert Storm, split screen, one of my favourite split screen moments ever.
Yeah,
loved that.
It was a good split screen game. I mean, there's a serious lack of split screen AAA games for sure, and like Rocket League and things like that. Like you said, indies definitely give you some form of split screen fun, but it's not much, and it's not like it used to be. Definitely, I'm crying out for split screen games. I really want to play couch co-op and stuff at home.
Couch co-op is still championed by Nintendo. They say they've got all the games that Nintendo put out, apart from like the new Zelda. Pretty much you can play 2-player in the same room. Yeah. You have to spend 70 quid for a fucking controller on the Switch, but they've been doing it with the Wii and the Wii U and all that. It's all couch co-op based, and it's a shame that we don't get any more. Can you play the new Call of Duty one on split screen? If they
you can play all the other ones from what I remember. You can play Zombies co-op.
I think they've took this one out. I think they're saying that there's no split screen local co-op on the new Call of Duty, which is a shame because that was one of the big ones, right? Yeah. Arguably the biggest game.
Couch co-op is. I think it's something that people want, and then it's the kind of thing where companies say, actually, people say they want it, but they never actually use it. Like, we know better than you. Like, you don't want it. You're saying you want it, but you don't want it.
How can you tell that from stats? Because it's the same account. Yeah. It's just to say there's no way you can know that. So I don't know. Yeah, they don't want us to want it because it's
hard.
Double sales for them if everyone has to buy their own game, right?
It's also difficult to implement because they have to like change the processing power of the machine and stuff to render the game.
Anybody listening not played a split screen co-op game? I want to know. There's got to be younger viewers or whatever.
Never had a couch co-op.
Can someone please get in touch if you've never played a split screen co-op? Because I just want to, I don't know, feel sorry for you and then maybe tell you why it's good. I don't know. I'm interested to know because there'll be a lot of people that have grown up with the internet. And they probably never would have played one. There's a very high chance. Yeah. I am interested to see. Maybe there's not. Maybe everybody else. But I want to know that. So please humour me and let me know.
So on that note, before we go, I did remember my other arcade game, which is Rambo First Blood Part 2, and I think that was on the Amiga as well. So there's kind of a crossover there. But that was an awesome game. I play that for hours.
Can I use this as the communal notice board as well? I've got to do this.
Jesus Christ!
I said that I would do it. Okay, sorry. Before we go,
I want to get out of it. Mike always gets this.
Yeah, he's like itching to go.
He starts bitching. I want to finish.
I want to play Total War.
I don't like
Spears at some point, and he's like, no. On a serious note, if you are one of our patrons listening and you aren't in the Discord, then you won't be aware of this. But the Discord, everyone gets involved. Everyone chats about things. There's a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life. Phil, Simply Phil, if you know him, you know him. And he had needed some help recently picking a computer. He's making the jump to the PC Master Race. And with the help of Discord, he has now decided he has spent his money and essentially ruined his social life forever by buying a PC to game on. He did ask me, could you please give a big shout out to everybody that helped, everybody that got involved, even people that just said their opinions, what he should get, what he shouldn't get. So just goes to show as well, the community helps each other a lot, and you know, like I'm saying, you've converted somebody to the PC Master Race. Yeah.
If that's not a good thing, I don't know what.
So I don't know who the suspects are. I don't know who it was that helped, but whoever you are, well done everybody. Well done, Phil. I'm sure you're going to play lots of great PC, games.
Oh, he's already got Battlegrounds, Phil. He hasn't got his PC yet, but he's got Battlegrounds.
So there you go. So I did tell him.
Yeah, nice one, dude. Yeah, nice one, man. Thank you very much for that. So there you go. Our community is amazing. On that bombshell, thank you very much for watching the podcast. My name's been, and it still is, Mike Williams. I've been joined by Gareth Evans and Jake Lukowski. See you next time.